happened in California? Something about charging restrictions.
The great state of California. 1 week, we ban gasoline-powered cars in 2035. And then the next week, we announce, for God's sakes, please don't charge your electric car because the grid can't take it. So that's California for.
Welcome to the Autopian podcast. I am David Tracy. We got Beau Bachman and Jason here. This is a podcast all about car culture and one that you should subscribe to.
Please.
Today we're going to talk about all sorts of EV stuff, just kind of our opinions.
By the way,
on
we're up to a dozen subscribers. We're hoping to double that number today.
I bet we can.
And Bob, maybe you could call your cousin. And we got a couple of female listeners, which is very important to us. We're trying to grow our female audience.
Yeah.
So if Jenny can call a few more friends and maybe get us some more listeners, that would be wonderful.
Go ahead and make multiple accounts, even.
Please
subscribe that way.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Make one for your dog. I mean, you're all making Instagrams for your dog anyway.
Please.
We
need to help.
All right, so we're going to talk about low-range EVs and whether we like them or not, whether every EV needs to have 300 miles of range, etc. We're going to talk about the Mitsubishi Mirage, which was in many ways the last true, cheap, fun,
honest
economy car. In some ways, maybe that's pushing it, but it was a great vehicle, and now it's not dying, but it might as well be. We'll explain later. We're going to talk about a story that did very well on the Autopian, our website that you should visit. A story about a Chevy HHR. For some reason, everybody wanted to read it, and maybe we can talk about why everybody decided they wanted to read it. Jason wrote a follow-up article about the rules of Wagonhood. So what makes a car a wagon?
This is an important topic. We gotta get this nailed down.
There's more fighting I see online over this concept than you would believe. And my goal as a peacemaker primarily is to bring order and rationality and peace to the subject. So we're going to settle that today.
Thank you, Jason.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm also going to be giving some updates on my trip to Australia. Actually, we're going to look at a couple of pictures I took.
Oh boy.
Speaking of which, you look quite uncomfortable right now, and I kind of forgot about something, but you're literally on the other side of the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a fool. I live in Michigan, and I get maybe 6 months of okay weather.
That's stretching it, by the way, if you know Michigan. Jeez.
And I decided to waste an entire one coming to Australia in the winter, like a fool.
You chased winter.
It's Christmas time there. It's hilarious.
To the other side of the planet, you chased winter like a fool. Oh, David, it's terrible.
It's 106 degrees outside. Yeah. Whenever you're ready to come back to LA. But how cold is it there? You look miserable. I never think of Australia as being cold, but look at you.
I think it's probably like upper. You know what? It's probably upper 40s.
Let's lean up against that warm-looking brick wall behind you.
Yeah.
It's 54, but the wind is blowing. So
why are you outside? Why is it? Because it's early and you don't want to wake anybody? Is that why you're outside?
It's 6:30.
Yeah. All right. That's kind of you. I respect that.
All right. So let me just talk about Australia here. First off,
please.
My mornings consist of tea and Anzac biscuits. These are a staple. They stand for Australia New Zealand Army Corps. They're like a World War I staple. And
wait, what are they like? Are they like hardtack? Like what exactly are these military biscuits?
No, they're incredible. It's like coconut, some oat. It's I've been eating them every day.
Biscuit in the British sense.
Oh, if you're going to call this a cookie, you'd be booted out of the country. You can't.
Wow. David, now you described Australia. I asked you what Australia was like last night and just tone and feel. And I thought you had a really beautiful way to describe it. Could you please relay that to everybody here?
Australia is like, and I have heard this elsewhere, but Australia is like if England had a Texas.
That's a great
That's
way
what
to put
Australia
it,
is.
yeah.
If England had a Texas, it's great. Yeah,
Wow.
I think that's perfect. What are you doing there? Remind everybody what you're doing there, because all these people are just now subscribing. They may have just now tuned in. They don't know why you're in Australia. Give a quick recap.
Okay, I bought a 1969 Chrysler Valiant Ute. A reader of ours reached out to me on Instagram because he saw that I owned a 1965 Valiant sedan. That was my winter beater last winter. And he and I just got to talking. He was like, man, look at this beater for sale near me. And I was like, yo, just buy that and I'll come over. I don't know if he thought it was a joke at first, but I was serious. And he bought it. And that pretty much meant I had to fly over here. So that's generally how I do things is I make a commitment. And then it's like, man, you're stuck with that. You got to do it.
And for those just tuning in or might not know David's history as well, you really are a master at making yourself miserable. I've never seen someone with quite the talent that you've had. Bathing in the Bering Sea before you went to Koenigsegg, that to me, it's hard to top that. But
he gave himself trench foot. That was pretty good.
Trench foot, that was good.
Yeah. But this is all in the service of getting cars that I think most people would assume are absolutely dead. David likes to get them running, and I think that's what's happening here.
It's tough.
But
when you have
the process is brutal.
So, I buy cars that have been dead for decades, and getting them back to life requires a ridiculous amount of time and effort. And unfortunately, I end up getting so focused that I just forget about just normal life. I don't know, like taking your socks off like once every 3 days. That's like a step one. If you've ever seen Forrest Gump, that's what Lieutenant Dan says. As soon as Forrest gets to Vietnam, take care of your feet, change your socks. That's what he said, and I didn't.
Taking care of your feet's a big deal. If you take anything away from this podcast, let's say that's the lesson. Take care of your feet.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So you're in Australia. You're working on these. You're working on the two Utes to get them running, and you have some updates for us.
Let me just show you guys. I'm going to show you something real quick.
Okay.
Nice.
God.
What was that?
Oh, it looks like guacamole, but I'm guessing it was oil once a long time ago.
A long time ago.
That is a dipstick.
We figured
so
that
what
out.
we're looking at is what should be the dipstick to the car that I bought. Instead of being 2 feet long and, sort of a rectangular section, it looks like a shiv, looks like a prison shiv. It's about 6 inches long.
This looks like something you pulled out of the rectum of a troll. It's the most revolting thing I've seen.
If you...
That's being kind.
Yeah. If your engine has a dipstick that's rotted out, that engine is over. Like, that is the one part that should be bathed in oil and just away from the elements. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the car that you're going to get running. Oh, look at these two. Yeah. Which is now, David, point out the one that's actually going to be the one you're actually going to try to drive.
So here's the thing. I bought a Ute, and our reader decided to buy me a parts car because the Ute that I bought was in horrible shape. You can see it's a Kangaroo Hunting Ute. You can see these pictures on our website.
Wait. It's a Kangaroo Hunting Ute?
Yeah.
This I didn't know.
It is.
So you hunt
Jason,
kangaroos
describe
in
this.
this thing?
Torch, describe this.
Okay, let's describe this. Let's describe the vehicle. I'll describe the scene. So we're looking at a picture.
Shooting brake of some kind.
A picture of an overgrown field, a lot of greenery, and there's two vehicles in it. They're both Utes, which is basically like a car-based truck, like an El Camino, for those of you not familiar. These are Valiant Utes. One of them that we're looking at now, which is the Kangaroo Hunting truck, is most of the body's there. It's extremely rusty. Most of the paint is faded off. There's a framework in the rear that's kind of like a small jungle gym or an uneven bar that you would stand in to keep you in the bed of this Ute, and you would shoot kangaroo from the upper padded bar. So picture a horizontal bar that goes over the cab of the truck, like behind and above it. You would lean on that, and there's like side rails to keep you on there. So this thing would drive around as you took shots at cassing kangaroos.
So forgive my ignorance, but kangaroo hunting is a thing? I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, they got to be cold. They're pests around here. They're everywhere. In fact, they are so prevalent that people have to put bull bars on the front of everything. Like everything, like Toyota RAV4s have bull bars on them.
So when I was there, they had kangaroo burgers. So that's why, because there's so many kangaroo. Because you think, oh, it's like this precious animal, this kangaroo, and then I'm like, it's on the menu now. Is that why? Because they're just everywhere.
I had kangaroo sausage earlier.
Oh,
is it good? What's it taste like? Yeah,
well, it was great, and it just tastes kind of like it was kind of like salami. I mean, you put enough spice in any meat, it's fine.
So wait, is this a common style of kangaroo bar? Because this thing is beefy.
Whoa. Oh yeah, for a RAV4. So we're looking at a Toyota.
That's
RAV4.
A kangaroo bar? How cool!
Yeah.
It's amazing. So what we're looking at, just to describe this, it's like unpainted steel, like almost like a stainless or polished steel, giant front bumper with a massive set of bars that reach above the hood line of a car. It's got multiple integrated lights and big rubber blocks in the front. Like it is it's just a beefy ass thing. It looks kind of like a stormtrooper mask. Yeah, it is kind of. But it's Mad Max, but it's refined. This one's like well built.
Think about how common kangaroo.
It looks like it should be on
the
front of a giant truck, but it's on like a civilian SUV.
Yeah, it's like a little crossover RAV4,
right. Yeah. Like a Target parking lot car.
Yes.
Like everybody hits kangaroos here. It's just a thing. Like think about how prevalent that has to be for someone to put a huge bull bar on a little Toyota RAV4 crossover. It is absurd, and there's a whole culture around it. People make their own custom bull bars in the front. It's it's a good time. I have to get one for my youth. Anyway, there more updates to come. I will say, oh, by the way, this here.
Whoa.
This is called here's a picture of a garage that I visited here in Dubbo, New South Wales.
Yeah.
There's this thing called a front cut. It basically involves Australians will import entire front ends of Japanese cars. It's called
this is just the front of a Lexus from like the windshield forward.
Oh yeah, they just chop it from the bottom of the windshield straight down, and you have the entire front of a car. It's called a front cut.
Why? David? Why are they doing this?
You get all the parts, the suspension parts, the engine parts. It's like, I guess the easiest way to do it. I don't know.
Is it cheaper? I guess it's cheaper than importing the whole car.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta be. Wow.
Yeah, because it's not imported as a car; it's imported as parts or something like that.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I have a lot more to say about my time here.
That's
in Australia.
almost interesting.
All right, that means it's time to move on. Okay. All right, the next topic of discussion is we're going to talk about electric cars, specifically low-range electric cars. Jason and I have.
Everybody loves those.
That's why this is interesting, Beau.
Yes, it is.
Go ahead, David.
These were called people call them compliance cars, like the old Fiat 500e and the
Ford Focus EV.
Chevy
these are
Spark
cars
EV.
that their range was like nothing back then. I mean these I don't know. Do you remember what the Ford Focus range was?
Between 70 and 80 on a good day.
Yeah, it's like the early Leafs were like kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say Leaf was another one I remember they got to 100, and that was a big deal.
But a lot of them, I think, were in that 65 to 95 range. Wasn't uncommon. Yeah, and real world, probably less. Go ahead.
Anyway, the problem is now one of the big problems right now with EV adoption. We're trying to get everybody into EVs, or ostensibly that's what we're trying to do. But EVs cost a ton of money.
Yeah.
In large part because the batteries are enormous, and generally, day in and day out, people are not using these batteries. So let's just say you buy a $60,000, Tesla Model S or whatever, if you can even do that these days.
Yeah, it's gonna be more than that, but yeah.
Day to day, you're probably driving, I don't know, 60 to 80 miles, I would guess, and that's over 200 miles of range that you're just not using. And normally in an ICE car, that's just like, okay, your gas tank is big. That's fine. Like, you're not paying a lot for a bigger gas tank. But with an EV, you're paying for all of that additional battery capacity.
And there's
not only it's weight, right? It's 1,000 pounds, and it's thousands of dollars. And every day people are just dragging around 1,000-pound batteries that they're not using, and that makes EVs extremely expensive and kind of hard to get into.
Well, there's a conceptual issue going on here, I think. Like, this is because people are still in the mentality that they need to buy one car that does everything For some people, that may be the case, but the idea that you get one car that can go on a road trip or be a city car or do everything, people will buy to their greatest imagined adventure they're going to do in a car, whether or not they're actually going to do it or not. I absolutely understand this. Having capability feels good. It feels nice to know you've got 300 miles of range, but the truth is, it doesn't really necessarily make sense. And I have the most minimal EV, that Chang, my 1.1 horsepower Chang with its lead acid batteries, 27 miles of range, top speed 25. I can do 75 to 85% of what I need of a car with that thing, which is absolute bare minimum for around town cities. Some of it has to do with the particular area I live in. I don't need to go on highways to get to a lot of stuff. But the truth is, for most of what we need a car for, something that can do basic highway speeds and has a range of about 80 miles probably is fine. And then when you go on a road trip, you should use something else. Why are we building things that can do everything when we so rarely do the deeper parts of that everything set?
This kind of goes back to your boat that drives itself, or the
amphibious car.
The amphibious car. Why can't it be both? Why do you, I don't know. Is it the opposite or the same argument? I'm confusing myself.
It's a little different, because the amphibious car is awesome always.
Yes,
and it doesn't have to be. Well, the difference is, an amphibious car, I feel, doesn't have to be that good a boat. And what I'm saying is, your general daily use EV doesn't have to be an amazing thing that does everything. It just needs to do enough. And if we do it that way, we can actually make affordable EVs, and then more people can drive them. And then we get the benefits of all of the emission savings, all of the reasons why we want people in EVs in the first place, but they don't all start at 40, 50, 60 plus $1,000. You can't buy a new EV for cheap car prices. You just can't do it.
So what's the minimum range in your mind that's acceptable?
I think 75-ish, like old compliance EV ranges.
Yeah, okay.
I think that would be plenty. What's that Citroen on me do?
So your Chang is what sort of inspired this idea. Jason bought this car on Alibaba, Chinese marketplace, for a total of under $4,000.
Yeah, well,
this little car,
$1,200 for the car. By the time I shipped it here, about $3,300. Yeah.
So, under $3,500 for this little electric car. Sure, it's got 20 some miles of range. Jason essentially daily drives this thing. Takes his kid to school, gets his groceries, goes into town. This is a daily driver for him. He doesn't need another car day to day generally, and so this got me thinking. Everyone should have a Chang. Maybe not quite, as crude as a Chang, but imagine if there were a common platform that every automaker used. Small car platform, had a standard 75 miles of range. This is like the Japanese K car concept.
Yeah. This is good. You standard battery too, so you get an aftermarket for battery replacement.
If it's a standard platform with standard batteries, you can reduce costs.
Yep.
Maximum, range of, say, call it 75 miles of range, depending on the shape and all that other stuff. And imagine if every automaker offered a version of this, just like a $10,000 75 mile range EV that looked cool. Everybody styled it. They did. It wasn't an afterthought like the compliance cars.
Yeah. You can do any kind of bodies you want. Like they could be all kinds of variety of bodies in these things.
I can sort of understand the logical argument. By the way, there's some flawed logic there too, but it's the emotional argument that I probably can't get through here. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't be enjoyable and fun and have their own charm. I think that's definitely possible to do. Some could be more luxurious, like a little Aston Martin Signet style thing. Yeah. Some could be sporty and built for lightness. Some could be little utility vehicles. Like I think if it's a standard platform, they can go ham on the body because it would like
you could have look at K cars in Japan, right? They have the K vans. They have the little cappuccino.
Do I
You've
need
got
to be
your
the rational person here? This is bad if I'm the one who's being rational. But
just
there safety. So you have crashworthiness today. I would say that for everybody, that's a high topic. Maybe not for younger drivers, but if you have any kind of family, safety is a critical issue. So all of these cars that you're talking about would need to be crash tested and be crashworthy, and that's not cheap in and of itself.
No.
And by the way, the battery that you're talking about, there's where do you see one that's 10 grand? You know, if you could actually get something priced for 10 grand that went 75 miles, I agree. We'd sell like hotcakes. It's just that's not doable with today's technology. Now, maybe we get some solid state batteries and some things like that. We might be able to in the future. So maybe we'll imagine that type of scenario. But right now, the cost equation isn't fitting with our fantasy.
Well, I think if you're able to standardize a platform, share costs among automakers, these batteries are going to be, the battery packs are going to be so much smaller.
So you think all the
automakers
are going to get together and kumbaya and say,
no,
let's sell.
This is the fantasy.
I want to be very clear. This is not going to happen, in part because there's not going to be enough margin for the automaker.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying, if our goal is actually to get as many people driving EVs as quickly as possible, if that's actually the goal, then this would be the solution. It wouldn't be,
but you've got
make sure every EV has
the product development that it would take to get a crash worthy. You know,
I think you'd lower your crash standards.
Okay,
I think
now we're talking. All right, because you're 25 miles per hour.
What if you relax your crash standards because these are only surface street vehicles, max speed of say 50?
Yeah, you're not going to take them on not for highways. You got to be able to do. David's right. You got to be able to do at least 45-ish. Right? Pure city cars. Look at the Citroen on me. David, can you bring that up? In Europe now, they're selling.
Maybe in Europe. This is America. We got long stretches of highway. Now by the way, I love this Citroen. It is so cool. And I think if we had this car in America, I could sell that thing.
This is a good template, I think.
Oh, that's good.
They're very clever.
It looks cool. You don't have to be embarrassed driving it, which takes away that part of the emotional argument. So I'm with you on this one.
Like this is a good template. Like the range of these is what is the range?
Jason? Describe it.
Okay, so the Citroen on me. Okay, so this is a new EV that Citroen, the French company, is making. The car itself is interesting because it's shaped. It's almost the same front to back. It's like a general sort of gumdrop shaped vehicle. There's a lot of glass in the upper part of the greenhouse. It's kind of chunky looking, has nice kind of big tires. And it looks kind of matte finish. Like I think it's got a plastic kind of coating around there. And so the doors are interesting. It kind of one door opens from the back, one opens from the front. It doesn't look like almost anything on the road, but it looks modern and interesting and kind of sci-fi-ish. And it's cool in its own crazy way.
$7,000
in France. Like this is very close to what we're talking about.
Exactly.
And which I would agree. Now, can they go full speed, or is it limited to cities?
I think it's mostly for cities, but let's check out the top speed. I bet the top speed is. I bet it'll do about
28 miles an hour.
28.
It's a little lower than I would want.
Official range is 46 miles. Okay, I think we could up those specs a little bit because it's only an 8 horsepower motor. We double that if it's already able to do. Like we could do 45 probably with 15 horsepower. Easy. And that would be easy. And those batteries also don't draw much. The thing is, with a modern EV, a modern full-size EV, it's just a lot for that motor to move around. That's why it takes so much stuff. You just reduce everything. There's no reason these can't be quick enough. They can't be nimble. They can't be fun. They can carry things. And you'll still have your bigger car for your longer trips. But we just got to divide the use. We got to get out of the mentality that you have to have one vehicle that can do absolutely everything all the time, because they're just not great at that.
But I think most people, if they have a second vehicle, they want what we talked about before, something they can tow their boat with or their toys. Or maybe, they've got to drive a minivan all week and, they want to drive their sports car on the weekend so they can actually enjoy a car. So this is purely for practical purposes. And that's where I start losing the emotional argument that if I'm going to have a second vehicle, I want it to be to play. Now you can say, okay, well, your city car is your daily, and then your play car is the weekend car.
Okay, I want to cite history here for something, because this is something I was actually thinking about today. It's related to this, and it's tangentially different. But think about the cars that have generated the most iconic followings and have the most character. Think about things like the Jeep or the original Beetle or the original Mini or the 2CV. All of these things were designed for practical reasons only. They were not designed to be cool ever. They had a job to do, and they were designed to that. And somehow the process of designing something with no fashion in mind, just rational things, somehow turns into character. I've seen it's happened many, many times throughout history. And I think if we took that approach with these vehicles without even trying, they're going to end up full of character and interesting, partially because history has shown us that is a path to making an interesting vehicle. Something with soul.
Because they're truthful. Those vehicles do what they say they're going to do. They're not trying to pretend to be something else. They're not. And I think that genuineness is what people fall in love with, because it's
and it develops its own personality as a result. These could end up being like that. You could develop something that was really good at this specific job, and somehow it ends up interesting or charming or fascinating. I think it's possible.
Well, you show me that Citroen. I got to say that was a great reminder, and it does it does sway me. You're getting me a little closer.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Also, and honestly, for me, the K vehicles really do it.
Yeah.
You know, like these are vehicles that were designed to a very tight, sort of constraint, and they're awesome. The K vehicle.
I do too. I love K vehicles, but I wouldn't want to drive my kids to school in one.
What if you were just in like a low speed road? What if you never got past like 40 miles an hour? Would you still feel the same?
Yeah, well, I live in LA. That's not possible, but
that's true.
Maybe where you're at, it's
like I have literally driven my kid to school in the Chang, which
that's
is
great.
A technical death trap, but you weigh all the options. I'm not going on the road. It's a college town. It's easy.
Yeah.
So David is showing this fantastic little K-class truck.
Like, here's the thing.
I love how it's called the Mighty Boy. Oh,
Mighty Boy.
Yes.
So the Mighty Boy, this is not an electric car, but it's just an example of like small and cute can be awesome. I mean, you can have pickup truck versions of this little thing. You can have shooting brakes. Anyway,
for those who
it's all a fantasy.
Are at home, this thing, the Suzuki Mighty Boy utility, and it looks like almost like an old rabbit in the front with a tiny truck bed in the back that barely covers that last wheel. But it's super cute. I can't argue.
It's fun, and it looks. It looks plucky and like it's ready to. It's a little rough and tumble, and it's fun.
Okay, you guys are you're getting me closer. I'm coming your way.
I will before we conclude this, I'm going to quickly address two things. I'm sure there's a safety engineer out there who cringed when we were like, let's just relax the safety standards. Reduce top speed, make sure they're only on surface streets, restrict usage. I don't know. That's never going to happen, especially when you have like Escalades on the road. It's just never going to happen. And also, like, the profit margins probably wouldn't be there at $10,000, $12,000. This would have to be incentivized. Most likely, if I had to guess. In any case, it's all a fantasy.
I was also going to make the argument of a plug-in hybrid that technically does do what we're talking about, because if you're using it as you properly should, you're using pure EV for your daily driving. And if you need to take it for a trip, boom, you're ready to go and you don't have to switch cars. So it's a straddle technology, but it's still pretty expensive because I don't know what it is, at least $5,000 or $7,000.
Although look,
plug-in hybrid.
Ford Maverick managed to get the base hybrid out at about 20.
But that's a mild. It's not a plug-in. It's
Oh, right. That's true. It's not. I don't know if they're planning on a plug-in, but you're right. A plug-in would be the ideal in a lot of those cases.
Well, you get kind of the best of both. But if you can actually come up with a cool little mini car that's fun to drive, that looks cool, that isn't too expensive, and has limited range. All right. Okay.
All right.
I'm pretty close. Not sold, but I'm leasing.
That's fair enough.
I'll take it.
You're a diehard enthusiast, and we're trying to sell you a 70-mile range EV. It probably has like 10 horsepower.
I do have my micro car lust. So,
you do, actually, honestly, Beau, that's a good context to think of him in.
Yes.
Think of him like micro cars.
Yeah, so it's all good. Okay.
All right. Okay. So we were also talking about since we're talking about EVs, some recent news.
I just drove an interesting one.
Before we get to that, there were some.
I want to hear about that too.
What happened in California? Something about charging restrictions. Oh, are you familiar with that?
Well, it's the beauty of California. This is why I love this state, the great state of California. One week, we ban gasoline-powered cars in 1930, I'm getting old, in 2035. And then the next week, we announce, for God's sakes, please don't charge your electric car because the grid can't take it. So that's California for. And the sad thing is, like, I've had a lot of people that, in the industry trying to argue about electric cars and how much we're pushing them. And I'm pro EV, by the way, and I'm all in. And I believe in it because I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. We had such thick smog. I was coughing all the time. I still have asthma. So look, I love this planet and we got to save it, right? But they keep going back to this grid. They're like, yeah, but they can't handle the grid can't handle it. And I'm going, yes, but they have to fix the grid. And they keep the grid. I'm like, but okay, but you still need the EVs, but that doesn't mean that you can't fix the grid. So you can't just say, okay, we're not going to build EVs because the grid can't handle it. Let's fix the grid. And I realize that's a bigger issue, but we're already pushing back, shutting down our nuclear power plants, which actually I believe in. And, I think if we could, get some nuclear power and some other things in there and support our grid, we'll be better off. But the point is we're putting pressure on the grid, which is, yes, it's an issue, but let's fix the grid. And that's my point. We can build EVs. We can fix the grid. We can build these. We can build the Hoover Dam. We can send a man to the moon. We can do these things. A man and a woman to the moon. That's next.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. You got to do them both. It's a chicken egg situation, but you got to sell EVs, and there's going to be some discomfort, and that's going to lead to innovation, and people are going to have to deal with some less than optimal circumstances charging their cars. And
I mean, continue maintaining and developing and growing our electrical power system. Shouldn't it be like something we might do or not do anyway? This is something we just have to do. Electricity is literally what everything runs on fundamentally. We have to do it. So yeah, I agree. You got to do it and got to take care of it. And there are interesting new nuclear things coming out. Those small reactors, like the liquid sodium things that they're talking about that are like smaller and meltdown proof. There's interesting stuff happening.
Germany is also strictly or not strictly, but not fans of nuclear power. It's bizarre. One thing I will note, we talked about those little low range EVs that we didn't quite get Beau on our side. We talked about how it would save you from carrying a lot of weight around. It would reduce costs. But the big thing we didn't talk about is the environmental benefit of not having to mine all that material for huge battery packs.
Yeah, true.
So that's a big part of it. Anyway,
is there really not enough lithium for all the cars? Because this is what we're hearing. And now we got to make sure we're approving mining in the United States, which is another issue. But my real question is the lithium that we mine the same lithia for our mind, like the pills?
I think it's the same element that's used for like the antidepressant lithium. I think it's the same stuff.
Because we need that stuff for antidepressants too. We can't just give it all to cars.
Yeah, we need to we should actually try to get a guest who's like an expert on these rare earth metals and stuff.
And if you find like a rare earth metal like lithium, if you mine it, can you eat it and feel better?
That's a good question.
I guess the answer is no.
That's everybody you see in a lithium mine is so happy all the time, and that's why they just grab chunks off the wall and they're thrilled. That's how it works, I think.
We'll get a battery.
Poppy farmers, they seem pretty happy.
Yeah, poppy. Yeah, they're any indicator.
Yeah.
All right, Torch. Tell us what you just drove, because this is a big deal.
This is so cool.
Okay, this car. It's a big deal. This is a car that I've been thinking Volkswagen should be building for a long, like at least I was writing articles that they should build this thing since at least like 2015, if not earlier. It's what they call the ID Buzz, what everybody's going to see it as. It's the new electric rebirth of the old microbus, the old VW Type 2 microbus. They've had versions of a reborn microbus literally since 2001, and they've been trotting out every few years a new like concept, and they've finally pulled the trigger on it. And it's an interesting vehicle. Like here's the thing about it. I feel like it's had so much hype. There's no way it's going to live up to like the show car they made recently, the concept, which was God, that concept even was like 6 years ago, but it was beautiful, the concept. And it had like wooden floors, all these things that everybody knew would not make it to production. But of course, everyone's going to be a little disappointed when they see realism in there. But with that said, they have done a really good job of making something that doesn't look like everything else. It feels like the old microbus, but it's not like a caricature. They didn't make it a strict retro design, but it's definitely got styling cues from the original microbus. The platform is the MEB platform that they use for all their ID lines. So it's not like it's got anything unique drivetrain wise. And what's interesting is the original bus was the same thing. The original bus used engines from at first the Type 1 Beetle and then the VW Type 4. The bus never had its own independent mechanical system. So this is actually a brand.
Just for listeners who don't exactly know what the bus is, it's the hippie van. It's the old VW hippie van.
Right. It's basically a bread loaf on wheels, a box on wheels. Yeah.
Right. We're talking about the new interpretation of it, the new bus. It's electric. It's the first new bus. Though really it's not, you could say that it's sort of similar to the Vanagon, or what do they have now? The T1?
Yeah, but
anyway.
Actually they've continued, but the VW's like commercial division has always been less emotional about the bus. They've always just called them transporters, but they started with the microbus and then they went through the years and they actually continue to make them. They're just front engined, gas ones now, and they're up to like T5. So technically this is continuing that tradition as well, but it looks and feels, they make them two-tone. There's extremely styled, so they have all kinds of cues from the original buses with the two-tone and the big kind of V shape in the front and the giant VW logo, and the inside has all kinds of little Easter eggs and fun stuff. There's interesting use of color. They did a really good job, and still fundamentally it's just a big box on wheels, which means there's a plenty of room in it. And like the original one, the motor's in the back down under the floor. It's because it's an EV skateboard type chassis. There's plenty of room in there. My only real big problems with it was that this was the short wheelbase one. It's just for Europe. They tell me that the American long wheelbase one will have some differences. One of the things the short wheelbase European one does not have is any sort of rear ventilation. The windows don't open in the back, and there's no HVAC vents back there, which just feels like a colossal oversight because it's a big volume of space. And to not be able to cool or heat that, I don't know what they were thinking with that. Unless this one I drove is just the base cost cut one. But they unofficially told me the US spec model will absolutely have HVAC vents and controls in the back, because I can't imagine selling a minivan like that without it. And it'll be 3-row in America. The one we drove was 2-row. It's very much, but also there's no other electric passenger vans on the market right now. I can't think of, you have like SUVs like Tesla Model X, or I guess Rivian is going to have an SUV, but nobody's doing like a one box design, big room inside electric van. So they're going to kind of have that market to themselves for that. Plus, they're going to have all the nostalgia factor of the styling and the fact it is a modern interpretation of the old microbus. I think if VW plays their cards right, they can do it well. It's not perfect, but they got a lot of it right. Yeah.
Is it going to be a modern hippie van? Like, is it gonna, do you think it's going to appeal to the, yeah, it's too expensive.
It's going to be the people who were the original hippies absolutely are going to buy it because they have money now.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
They will do it. But the young people, the old, like back in the day, you could buy VW buses were dirt cheap and they were easy to run. And they, it's because, again, it's an EV with a big old battery in there, 77 kilowatt hour battery. It's, I don't think it's going to start for less than like 60. It's 54 for the short wheelbase one in Germany now, $54,000. In America, I feel like if we get it in to start at 60,000, we'll be lucky. There's no, how do you do it cheap?
To your point, yeah, there's no entry-level buyers of this thing, because like my best friend in high school had a bus. Yeah. And he would drive that every day, and I drove with him, and it was so cool. And I just remember, we got to get in trouble in that thing and sneak beers in it. It just worked for a number of things. And then he got in an accident right in front of the school, and my face hit the windshield, and like Oh, I was fine. I just had a little mark, but it was really embarrassing for him because it's right there. I mean, there's nothing in front of you. Is my point? Like when you hit something, you're on top of it.
The old bus, you were sitting on top of the front axle of the old bus, so there was nothing. The new one, you are behind the front axle, and they made it look like the old bus, but you have about a hood's length of distance between you and the front of the car. They can't do it your butt's over the wheel like it used to be.
So now I know I haven't seen this in person. We've all seen pictures. It probably already has, and this is an emotional question I have for you. But does it have like the vibes? Does it have, because there's just something about the old bus that feels really cool, right? I mean, just you dig it. Does it have that same kind of fun to it?
It has presence, and people notice it, and they, like Danes, who I read online, are very reserved. We're like pointing it out and smiling and waving. It does have some of that. It doesn't have all of it, because part of what the old bus had was especially the age they were when I started to be able to drive them and be in them, was they were kind of clunky and ramshackle in a little ways. This feels sleeker, but they did still, via the styling, manage to convey a lot of it. Again, not everything, but a lot of it. But it definitely feels more upscale than the old bus did. Feels more modern and sleek, but it still has a lot of that character. They did pretty well.
I drove it, and I don't really agree. I think the interior is not. It's not weird at all. It's just kind of like it's just a van interior. The dash is like, it's got to be one of the longest dashes of any vehicle ever.
It is. Yeah.
It is. The dash is basically taking place of a hood for crashworthiness. So it's just a gigantic, and if you get to a stoplight, an overhead stoplight,
this is a good
luck seeing that. Good luck seeing that, because the roof extends way ahead of you.
When driving it in Copenhagen, most of their traffic lights were low. But in America, if you have a traffic light, some of them are across the intersection, but if it's the kind that's right at the intersection and it's on a high bar and you're the first one in line, you will have trouble seeing that traffic light. Like, it will be an issue. So I'm curious to see how that gets addressed.
Well, Hill, California, they got the top one and then the medium one. So I hear what you're saying. So I'm sorry, David, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I just think it's not that weird, and I think it's really leaning hard on its paint job to sort of look cool. I don't know. I expected it to be. I don't know what I expected. See, that's the problem.
I think that's what it is. I think that is the number one problem with this van is everyone's expectations are through the roof on it, and you have to realize that they had to build a van that is usable along with cool, and it's not always easy to do, and probably miss some of the quirkiness, but it still
definitely
looks cool in my mind.
Compromise. But I think, given that they had to make these compromises, I think they did a pretty good job. Again, it's not everything I imagined it could be, because that would not be a realistic vehicle anybody would buy.
Okay, so you both drove it, and it's EV, so there's how EVs drive. So is there something special about how it drove? Tell me about it.
Yes, it's extremely slow. Isn't that right, Jason?
It's not quick. It's a 200 horsepower, but 5,000 pounds of weight. 0 to 60 is like 10.2 seconds. Top speed's 90.
Think about that.
In America, we'll probably get a dual motor version. But
yes,
if anything keeps with the idea of an old bus, it's that it's slow. And the thing I found about it is it's easy to drive. Here's the difference also. Nobody was ever buying a bus for the driving experience, really. No. You were buying it for the traveling experience. You were buying it because you drove it, but you were traveling. You were engaged with the people around you, what you were seeing out the windows. It was never really about the feel of the road through the wheel, because that's never what the bus was about. So in that context, they did fine. It's easy to drive. It does what you needed to do. The turning circle's tight. You can drive it in a city comfortably and on the highway. It's not a driver's car. You're not going to autocross it, but I don't think that matters so much for this. And I think when we get the dual motor one in America, that'll help too.
Jason, here's my problem with that. I totally agree that the bus was never meant to be fast. The hippie van was not supposed to be fast.
No.
But here's the thing. It's so easy to make a modern EV quick that it's just, you don't have to develop a bigger engine. You just send more current. Or maybe you get another motor off the shelf, send more current to it. Boom. It's not a big deal. You don't have to, we've got this 1776 cc flat 4, whatever the bus had. We can't develop a flat upgrade. 6 because it would cost too much, and we can't pull it. Whatever. None of those are a problem. It's so easy to make an EV quick that it's just like, the fact that it's that slow, I don't know. It bothers me.
Okay, I
Honestly,
agree with that statement, but
10
can you
seconds is fine.
lose-
10 seconds to 0 to 60 is actually fine, is what I say,
But-
especially for this car.
Would
It's
you
fine.
lose range if you did what you're saying, David?
Yeah.
Not at all.
No,
No.
why not?
No, you
Why not?
Pumping
Why
more
would you?
current in there?
No, because you don't do it all the time. You know,
You're gonna lose some.
you're not. See, that's the thing. It's like you're only sending a bunch of current when you accelerate hard, but like nominally, you know, you can have like an eco mode where it sort of desensitizes the pedal. It really wouldn't be any problem at all.
I
I agree, it's already
They did
there.
say the American long wheelbase one very likely will have a motor up front as well, because they do that with the ID4s and all of them. So chances are the one that we'll be able to buy will have at least 300 plus horsepower, whatever the ID4 version makes. So I'm sure that'll get better, but I don't think it's ever going to be fast. I don't think
I don't want it to be fast, but like 10 seconds. Jeez.
10 seconds is fine. Like you can totally merge into the highway in 10 seconds. You know, you're not racing for pinks in this thing. It's fine. I don't drive anything that does better than that.
You know, that does bring up a point. Do all EVs need to be quick? Because it is cheap and easy.
You're arguing with
power.
yourself now. Jeez.
You know what? It is a topic.
Pick
maybe
a
for day,
lane, Tracy.
but it is. You know. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
I see
All
daylight
right,
skipping away in Australia.
It is.
Yeah.
Cold, but all right. This next topic is one that Jason's been talking about forever.
Oh, yeah.
The rules of Wagonhood.
This is
The
important.
reason why this matters is wagons have for a long time been considered the ultimate enthusiast choice body style, kind of the ultimate compromise between utility and ride and handling.
Which, by the way, you know, in my generation, it was the opposite because a lot of us grew up in the back of a country squire wagon with the wood paddles. I did.
Yep.
And there was kind of nothing more embarrassing than a station wagon back in the day. Now, ironically, now I think it's the coolest thing in the world because those little flipped up seats and that tailgate that could go any which way, amazing technology that they still don't match today. But it wasn't until more recently that wagons started taking off as something cool. That's more your generation there, David. So
Yeah. I think I grew up in a country squire too. But here's the thing. There's a lot of arguments you'll find online back and forth. Is something like hatchback? Is it a wagon? Do crossovers and SUVs count? And the thing is, we can actually just settle all these arguments because I have gone through and defined the rules of Wagonhood. Originally, there were 2 back when I wrote the original article 10 years ago for Jalopnik, but I've since expanded it. So let's just go through so everybody knows. If you see a car, here's how you can tell if it's a wagon. Okay, so David, scroll down, please. Let's look at rule 1. The cargo area must have a window. You have to have side windows that cover the cargo area of your wagon. And
Agreed.
It doesn't matter if they're contiguous with a long window with the rear or if they're independent windows. I don't even care how big they are, as long as the cargo area has some glass coverage dedicated to just the cargo area. Okay.
So why are you specifying this? Because there are cars that don't have that, and they're shooting brakes. Is that right?
Well, no. A shooting brake is a subset of a 2-door wagon. So a shooting brake is a sporty 2-door wagon. You can have a regular 2-door wagon like a VW Squareback, or you can have a shooting brake style like a Volvo P1800 ES, which the intent was clearly something more sporty. So
can you have a sporty, because I'm asking the master right now, can you have a sporty 4-door
yes
shooting brake?
Well, not a shooting brake. You can have a sporty 4-door wagon, but I believe shooting brake is very specific to a 2-door wagon design.
Okay.
I think that's a hard rule.
Breaks my heart a little bit, you know.
Maybe we need a new name for a sporty 4-door wagon. I'd be open to that, but I feel like shooting brake is taken.
Because I do remember I mentioned, you know, back 20 years ago, we actually, believe it or not, took in an old 1914 Rolls-Royce shooting brake on train.
Wow, yeah.
And it had the full wood body, and it was only a 2-door, but it was specifically built for hunting. And that's where the shooting brake comes from, for those who are wondering. But it didn't look sporty at the time. But you're saying because it was specifically built as a hunting vehicle, it could then be called a shooting brake.
Yeah.
2 doors and a wagon.
Right. I agree. Yeah. So that's a
sporty
subset.
for 1914, not for nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I might be wrong on the year because I think that was World War II, or World War I. But anyway, sorry.
All right. So Torch.
Yes.
Why do you even specify this? Are there vehicles that look wagony but don't have a window?
There are, David.
Vans?
They're vans. They're panel vans. Yeah. So there's a lot of converted wagons made into vans that don't have a window at the rear. That's a different category of vehicle. If you don't have the window of the cargo area, it makes everything dark inside and they become cargo vehicles, and it's not the same as a wagon. So for a wagon, you have to have windows for the cargo area. Okay, that's rule one. Rule
Absolutely.
two, the roof of the wagon must cover at least half, 50% of the cargo floor area. So that's how also another way to define. So if you have a hatchback that has like a little triangular window in the back, like a lot of them do, if the rear is sloping so much that the roof of the car isn't actually covering half of the cargo floor, that's a hatchback. It's not a wagon. Wagons have to have the roof long enough to cover at least half of the load area in the back. Okay.
So this, Jason specifies this because it's kind of the difference between a vehicle with a squared off rear end and one with just a sort of a sloping rear end. That's really the difference here.
Yeah, and you can have a sloping rear end as long as that roof is still long enough to cover the half the cargo floor. Okay, so those are the first two rules. I added a rule 0 because I realized the first two rules could also cover a lot of vans. So a van is not a station wagon. It has to be a 2-box design, meaning you have to have a hood of some kind. That hood does not have to have an engine in it. You can have a rear engine wagon if you want, but it has to have a hood and then the rest of the body. So it has to be a 2-box design to be a true wagon. So that's rule 0. So
and why was that not rule 3? Just if we're keeping score.
Because I felt it was fun. It was so fundamental. Like, it's kind of like, that's where you have to start. Yeah. Okay. So like David's showing pictures of like a Hilux here. Yes. So like, now this is interesting because I think actually this.
Oh, you're straight up with this.
It's a truck chassis. This would qualify as a wagon design instead of like, especially the passenger version. So David's showing a 2020 Nissan NV cargo van or passenger van. It meets all the criteria. It's 2-box design. It has a window at the rear. This is just a large wagon. And we actually have two corollary rules that kind of cover this a little bit.
Oh, okay.
By the way, just this thing's ugly as sin.
I'm not a fan of the NV. They piss me off. I don't like the NV. All right.
Here we go.
So we have So now a lot of people are saying, how do crossovers and SUVs fit in there? I maintain crossovers and SUVs are in the wagon family, but there's two corollary rules that define them. So the crossover clause A. Okay, so crossovers and SUVs are wagons if they meet rules 0, 1, and 2, but are a subcategory based on body proportion. So my thinking was for a given length, a crossover or SUV will have a taller proportional height and a higher hood and belt line than just a wagon. They still meet the regular wagon rules, but they are taller. And David has a good kind of a way of defining this even a little further, referring to the David, explain what you're talking about, because you mentioned this height in another context.
So it's tricky to try to distinguish an SUV from a traditional wagon. You can't just go on ride height necessarily. You can't just go on overall height necessarily either. I think the proportion that distinguishes a crossover, especially from a traditional wagon, is the distance from the rocker panel to the hood. That kind of represents the quote fatness of a design, the weight.
So this is kind of belt line to the bottom of the body, right?
I'm talking roof line to the bottom of the body. So the rocker panel, which is at the bottom of the body, to the roof. So that's what makes a car look fat. So if you look at the Hummer H2 and you see the H2 and you're like, wow, it just looks like a fat car. The reason is because that dimension from the rocker to the roof is big. Anytime that's a big dimension, a car just looks fat. Oftentimes that's disguised with like sort of black trim on the roofs of some cars. And anyway, that's one example.
A lot of those Hummers would be considered station wagons. Is that what you're saying?
I think they are wagons, and there is a subcategory of wagons which this clause goes to.
Okay. So time out. Where does the station part of station wagon come in?
Well, originally it was because these were vehicles designed to take people from a train station to their final destination. That's where that name comes from.
I love that fun fact. Trivial Pursuit.
It was like a station. Really? They were either called like station hacks or, but that was the original.
I love that.
So this is a wagon design. David's showing an XJ Jeep Cherokee. It's fundamentally a wagon design, but it goes into the SUV category because the overall height from the rocker panel to the roof is taller proportionally.
It's actually not. It's actually not that tall. Like, look at this. This is a fairly reasonable dimension. I consider the XJ to be. If it were lower, it would just be a straight up wagon.
Well, David, go back to the pictures on the other thing again, because I have another corollary to this. So the crossover clause B is that, okay, this is the one where I talk about how ride height and intent, the intent of the manufacturer do matter. And the example I give is the AMC Concorde and the AMC Eagle. They share literally the exact same bodies. It's the same sheet metal on the bodies, same size, same dimensions. But the Concorde was pitched as just a station wagon family car. The Eagle was pitched as kind of like a proto SUV. The Eagle had a four-wheel drive system and a higher ride height, different kinds of body detailing. And more importantly, if you scroll down, David, if you look at the advertising, they were advertised very differently. The Eagle was advertised with pictures of it going through snow or mud, and the Concorde was advertised as being like affordable luxury. So it's literally the same body, but one is considered a wagon, one is considered SUV. They're both in the wagon family, but the intent of the manufacturer is important. So if they clearly intended it to be an SUV, even if the body is a wagon, the factor as well.
Oh, no, it's complicated because it's not really straight, especially the idea of like what's the crossover, what's an SUV, what's a wagon. Yeah. It's not that straightforward. So we need rules. Jason, you're
doing my best out here. I am doing my best. And actually, David, scroll up a little bit because this is also an interesting thing. And it's for Honda HR-V, for example, the current version of the HR-V is not a wagon, but it is a crossover. Because it doesn't have a rear cargo window. The rear doesn't cover 50% of the floor area. It's technically a crossover version of a hatchback. The old HR-V that Honda used to make in the late 90s is very much a wagon body. The roof covers the cargo floor area over 50%, almost 100%. It's got a cargo window, and it's a wagon subclass SUV crossover. So it gets tricky, but I guarantee you, if you follow these rules, you can make sense of things.
I agree. This is cool.
So now that you've defined, I'm sorry, David, now that you've defined this and you've done an excellent job for mankind, humankind.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for appreciating
what do we do with this information? Do we talk to Webster, the Automotive Hall of Fame? Like, where do we go to make
maybe the National Bureau of Standards should be reaching out to me, perhaps. I feel like someone like that.
Bureau of Standards, but anymore. But okay, I think
weights and measures. I don't know what the bureau is, but yes, some official government bureau should be there.
American National Standards Institute is who we need to talk to.
Yeah, we need to talk to these guys and get these things codified as soon as possible.
So if we have any friends out there that know anyone, maybe
if anybody works for ANSI, please reach out to us so we can make all this nice and legal.
Actually, I think the answer would be SAE. You should write an SAE paper.
Oh,
that's a great idea. Oh yeah, we should reach out. Yeah, we did a talk for SAE. We kind of know someone there. All right, yeah, I'll reach out to SAE.
This is gonna be cool. Make it official.
All right, a couple of other things we're going to talk about. Let's talk about a couple of stories that are doing well on the Autopian. First one's really sad. Really, it's about your beloved Mirage, Jason.
I do like the Mirage.
The Mitsubishi Mirage, America's cheapest car for a while, right? Cost like what, 13,000? What did it cost, Jason?
Back in the day, you could pick up a Mirage for like high 12s, 13,000s, not that long ago.
I think they still are the cheapest car in America, aren't they?
I think they still are.
Maybe the Chevy still has the Spark, don't they? I think there's a couple that are like in that range, but it's definitely there. And I always thought, I remember years ago writing a defense of the Mirage after someone wrote like a takedown review of it that somehow got all kinds of attention, and the guy ended up on like Good Morning America just because he wrote a mean review of the Mirage, and it just felt like, complaining about a Mirage, about it
picking on the little guy
side. Like what did you expect, dude? I remember the guy claimed it was better, like you'd rather take the bus, and I know that's not true. Ask anybody on a bus, would you rather be on the bus or be in your own Mirage? Nobody's saying I'm happy here on the bus. It's just not true.
I completely agree. By the way, they did redo. Shame on me for not even knowing what a new Mitsubishi Mirage looked like, but they actually did a nice job on the front end now. Yeah. It's a little better than it was.
It's not that bad looking.
And to me, the Mirage had one incredible feature that no other car that I know of had or has at the time, and that is you can get it in pink.
Yes, pink and vivid bright green.
Ooh.
And my theory is if you want cool colors on cars, real exciting colors, you have to be too poor to give a shit or too rich to give a shit what anybody thinks of you.
That's so true.
So you could get a Mitsubishi Mirage in this amazing purpley pink, or you could get a Lamborghini in a color like this. Almost nothing in between. It's only at the extreme ends of the market, low and high.
Yep, you gotta love it.
I agree. It was fun in this color.
Cars like this matter. You know,
They do matter.
cheap economy cars that they get you from A to B, but they're, you know, you can get them with the stick shift. They're dirt. See, here's the problem.
I think couldn't you get a Spark in pink for a little while too?
Yeah, you could. Pink, and there's like a pearl. It was like a light pearly pink.
Yes.
It was actually kind of a great color.
It was beautiful.
That you could. Yeah. Yeah,
Jason,
that's amazing. Yeah.
We do know what the best styling feature is on a Mirage, don't we?
Oh, is it the rear view camera?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I love
Where
the
is
rear
it?
view camera. See if this one. The rear view camera. Yeah, so what David's talking about. So when they legally had to put a rear view camera on the Mirage, what I love is that absolutely zero fucks were donated for styling it in there. They literally just stuck it on the tailgate. Do it a little later, David. Do it like
I think pink must have been an early color.
Oh yeah. There it is. There it is in the back.
Oh yeah.
It's literally just
look at
stuck
that.
on there. They
It's
did
so
not
good.
care. And I kind of love that because it's like, yeah, we have to have it. You all know what it is. Why are we being candy asses about it? Just put it there. It's fine.
It looks like
totally
a
is
bottle
fine.
opener. I love it.
Oh yeah, it does look like
does.
a bottle. Yeah. I
Anyway.
respect the Mirage though. It did its honestly, if you think about it, cars like the Mirage probably change lives more than most expensive cars. This is a car that somebody's that's like saving up for and is able to get it. And then from that point on, they have a reliable car to do stuff with. And I bet it changes people's situations more than almost anything else.
Or
Gets
you
you
could
out
get
of
a
somewhere.
decent used car with a good warranty, but you know.
Yeah, okay, that's
true. That's true.
Yeah, that is true. And that's probably a big reason why probably these are
That's the reason.
too. Yeah.
Anyway, the news story is that the manual transmission is gone, and you're stuck with if I have this right, a CVT, which with a low horsepower engine is not good. Anyway, buy an older Mirage. Buy it if you're gonna buy a Mirage. Buy an older one, I guess. I don't know. All right, and then here's a story that did really well. I'm not exactly sure entirely why it did, because in some ways it was, I'll admit, kind of off the cuff, just kind of whipped it together. My friend Brandon found a Chevy HHR in some parking lot, took a couple of pictures, sent it to me. And I just posted the pictures to the Autopian, wrote a couple words about it, and a ton of people read it. It's so this is a Chevy HHR, which is it's basically GM's version of the PT Cruiser, which itself was sort of kind of harkening back to sort of the
that's a whole story in itself, how the designers jumped ship and went to GM and basically designed the exact same vehicle for GM. That was just stupid.
It feels like a car of like the late 40s, kind of late 40s, maybe early 50s.
Yeah,
big fenders.
The PT Cruiser I thought was cool when it came out, and then it wasn't. But it was cool for a minute.
It was.
It's kind of hard to describe what
the HHR
exactly
showed up just in time for that cool wave to be over, and then it arrived. So here we go.
That's true.
And now
the
they're trying to make
HHR
it
was
cool.
late.
Yeah. So here's this baby blue with a white roof and some gigantic bumper thing we're looking at. So what is this, David?
I don't know. So this is someone who took an HHR, said, okay, the HHR was sort of meant to be retro from the factory, just like the PT Cruiser was. So let's take that and just crank it up. What they did is they installed some vintage, what do you call these types of hubcaps here?
Those are like dog dish hubcaps.
Yeah.
Dog dish. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog dish, old school, steel hubcaps with the old school Chevy logo on it. They
Chrome
put
trim.
these little bunch of chrome trim. This looks like a Chevrolet Bel Air almost kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that looks kind of Bel Air near the back. The hood ornament looks
this
kind of
big
like an
chrome strip.
Oldsmobile Rocket.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
They
say
just
that
grabbed some stuff.
Oldsmobile. What's from the Oldsmobile Rocket?
Then the hood ornament.
Yeah, there's a big hood ornament on it, and then there's this like I don't know what this is on the fender. It's like Here's the thing. If you go to AutoZone, you can buy all sorts of chrome stuff. You can get chrome door handles. You can get chrome trim. You can get chrome everything. But that's not what this person did. And I think that's why people wanted to see this so much, is because this is someone who, they didn't just buy the cheap chrome stuff from AutoZone. They actually went out and found vintage car trim and they made it work for this car.
And at the same time, this wasn't a huge amount of effort they really put in.
No.
Like
more
this
than you would
something
think.
you could do in a couple weekends, minus the paint. The paint probably, took a while, but like they just stuck stuff on, but it does still kind of work. And what I think maybe people resonated with is it's so clearly someone just enjoying the crap out of their car.
Exactly.
They're just enjoying it.
Because it is a crappy car. I mean, it's not, for those who aren't seeing the picture, it's not a nice car. It's like dented up.
Shape.
It's in really rough shape. So the fact that they spent that much time and effort to not go to AutoZone and to pick up, some real trim and to make it right, I do think that's intriguing.
Yeah, it's just this is not a person with a ton of money, clearly, but they're making their basic car into something they clearly really enjoy, and
I'm all for it.
That just feels good.
Yeah, they are an Autopian in my view.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
cool stuff.
Yeah. That was the last topic for us to discuss. Unless you gentlemen,
another great episode of the Autopian podcast. Thank you.
You should probably like and subscribe, or however that works. You should definitely subscribe to this, because we may have other important things to tell you soon. And if you missed out, you'd only be hurting yourself, friend.
We were told by our producers to beg and plead to please hit the subscribe button and that kind of stuff. I don't know how you do it, but you know what to do. Please do that.
Yes.
Just do it.
Look, we're not experts on things like lithium, clearly, as you noticed in this episode, but between the three of us, we're absolute car nerds, and you are too. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.
To another episode of the Autopian podcast. See you next time.
See you soon.
Have fun.